Chapter 6:13. Hearing Xie Shijun's words, Yi Song only looked at Tangua, his wife. Tangua gave him a very sweet smile. It was so sweet that it almost touched his heart. If Xie Shijun and Qining were not here, he really wanted to hug her and kiss her eyes. This pair of eyes that could speak and brought endless warmth to him. Xie Shijun coughed softly. He was really envious of him. He had a wife, but there was no love. When he was not a soldier, he was also a young artistic youth. He also envied the love that was written in books. He imagined that his future wife would be a girl who smiled very sweetly. A girl who would only smile at him. He would spoil her and make everyone envy her. But the reality was that he had a virtuous and capable wife, but he had never experienced the addictive love story that was written in books. However, he was a person who was content. His wife was virtuous and capable. He could only treat her as well as possible. It might be regretful that there was no love, but he could have something better than love. He might not fall in love with Qining again, but he would work hard for this family and give her a warm home. He would always treat her well. They would slowly grow old together and become family. His eyes were filled with warmth as he looked at Qining beside him. However, Qining didn't realize that this seemingly rough man actually had a meticulous heart. He had been trying his best to make their lives better. She also ignored everything that she already had. A man who wanted to treat her well wholeheartedly and was willing to fight for her. Even if there was no love between them, he was willing to accompany her and bear the responsibility of a man. She only saw that the man who had hated both of them in her previous life had actually achieved so much in this life and was still so considerate to a woman for 10 years. She was not willing to accept reality. She was even more upset about the ending of her previous life. She hated Yi Song and Tangua even more. Why could Tangua make Yi Song treat her like that? This time, I really have to thank Chairman Song. Xie Shijun remembered the purpose of inviting Yi Song this time and had to say some words of gratitude. Qining was awakened by Xie Shijun's words. She was a little confused. Thank Yi Song. What did Xie Shijun want from Yi Song? She tugged at Xie Shijun and asked softly, "What do you need his help with?" These words could be said to be very disrespectful. Xie Shijun was a little unhappy in his heart. However, when he remembered that Qining had said it softly and Yi Song probably didn't hear it, he heaved a sigh of relief. It's about going to work in the city. I told you before that you didn't want to talk about it. Today, I invited Chairman Song to dinner to thank him. If it wasn't for his help, I would have to go to Lin County. How could the county be better than the city? Unless it was Tang County. Xie Shijun was really grateful. If Yi Song helped him this time, he might be able to benefit from it for many years, unless he was no longer in the city. For Yi Song's sake, they wouldn't make things difficult for him. It could be said that he owed Yi Song a huge favor. If not for the fact that they were from the same village, Yi Song would not have helped him. Therefore, Chen Ying's attitude made him feel extremely uncomfortable. He thought to himself that after he returned, he must have a good talk with Yingzi so as to not offend her benefactor. When Qining heard that Xie Shijun was going to work in the city because of Yi Song's help, she didn't take the initiative to go to the city because she thought that Xie Shijun's capabilities were appreciated by the people in the city. Chen Ying's mind was blown. Chapter 6:14. What did you say? Qining couldn't hold back and screamed. Her voice was so loud that it could be heard from outside the room. It was easy for Tangua to eavesdrop on their conversation. Yi Song's ears were also very sharp. He could hear what they were whispering. The 2 times he had met Xie Shijun had been very tactful and did not pay too much attention to his guogua. He was not the kind of person who was particularly stingy. He also admired people like Xie Shijun who were straightforward and loyal. So, he was more sincere when he helped him. As for Qining, this woman was very strange. He remembered that this woman had stuffed eggs into his mouth several times. It was clearly written that she had taken a fancy to him, so he couldn't wait to avoid her. After a few months, he didn't know why this woman didn't get close to him anymore. She even looked at him with disgust. It was as if she was avoiding him like a snake or a scorpion. It made him think that he had done something wrong to her. Later, he accidentally fell into the river and was saved by his guagua. The whole village saw them hugging each other with wet clothes and got married in a daze. After that, he realized that he had found a treasure and didn't pay attention to Qin Ying's strange behavior. When Qining heard that Xie Shijun's job was arranged by him, she didn't seem to believe it. The hatred in her eyes made him feel strange. Ingzi. Xie Shijun's voice was a little heavier. What are you talking about? Qining reacted and lowered her head in panic. She couldn't let anyone know about her rebirth. Also, she deliberately tampered with Yi Song's path and saw him fall into the river with her own eyes. She also deliberately led Tanggua here. Once this matter was known, she didn't know what the people in Tang County would think of her. I'm just very surprised. Qining broke her teeth and swallowed all the bitterness in her heart. She was very sullen. I didn't expect that it was Chairman Song who helped Shijun. Thank you very much. However, she didn't look surprised or grateful. She was clearly shocked and at a loss. She didn't want to believe it at all. Yi Song didn't care. Tanggua also didn't care when she knew the truth. But Xie Shijun still felt uncomfortable. Qin Ying's behavior today could be said to have embarrassed him. He didn't know if Chairman Song would take it to heart. Qining looked like she wanted to eat him up. It was as if she was looking at her enemy. No one would feel comfortable. We came back in a hurry. Ingzi might not be used to it. Please don't mind her. Xie Shijun was a little worried and apologetic. In fact, he really admired Yi Song and did not want their relationship to be strained because of Qining. Yi Song shook his head. I won't. Xie Shijun heaved a sigh of relief. He decided that the next time he met Yi Song, he would not bring Qining along. Moreover, it was time for him to ask his grandmother about the rumors that had appeared in the village. She was at home, so she should know better. Tanggua and Yi Song were the only ones who enjoyed the meal. She thought that this man was very capable. She didn't expect him to work in the city with Yi Song's help. She was really disappointed. It was better for anyone to help her than Yi Song. I'll go back first. Qining didn't wait for Xie Shijun to speak. She turned and left. Xie Shijun was a little angry with her cold attitude. He didn't stop her. Chapter 6:15. Xie Shijun glanced at Qining, who did not look back, and turned to go home. When he got home, he saw Su Qiulan playing with his grandchildren. His face softened. Su Qiulan saw Xie Shijun coming back and asked with a smile, "Where is Ingzi? Why didn't she come back with you?" When she mentioned Qining, Xie Shijun's face darkened. Su Qiulan knew something had happened. Her son usually had a good temper. Could it be that the two of them quarreled? What's wrong? Su Qiulan wanted to persuade her son to be more tolerant of Qining. Her husband died early, and she raised 3 children. She knew how difficult it was for a woman. But after hearing the scene in the private room from Xie Shijun, Su Qiulan could not persuade her son. What's wrong with Ingzi? Su Qiulan murmured in her heart. I didn't hear about any conflict between her and Tanggua. When I mentioned Chairman Song before, Ingzi would say something not very good. Xie Shijun drove the two children out to play and pulled Su Qiulan into the house. Mom, do you think something happened between Yingzi and Chairman Song? Have you heard anything about it when you were in the village? Bah, don't talk nonsense. With Chairman Song's character, it's impossible for him to have anything to do with Yingzi. Su Qiulan suddenly remembered something. There was a rumor before about Qin Fangfang, Yingzi's younger sister. Do you know her? Xie Shijun nodded. There was another thing about him. At that time, the Qin family was disgraced. Qin Fangfang mentioned more than once that Yingzi had secretly given eggs to Chairman Song, but it seemed that Chairman Song had rejected her. Su Qiulan's face darkened when she thought of this. Could it be true? If that was the case, it was normal for Qining to dislike Yi Song. A man who couldn't get her even if she tried to curry favor with him has such achievements and a good relationship with Tanggua. Qining felt indignant and treated Yi Song badly. It's understandable for her to treat him badly. The mother and son fell into silence. Xie Shijun said, "Forget it, Mom. Don't mention it." Sigh. Su Qiulan also understood that this matter could not be mentioned, especially in front of Qining. If it was mentioned, it would cause a conflict. For the sake of family harmony, no matter how uncomfortable she felt, she couldn't bring it up. Xie Shijun entered his room and saw that Qining was not back yet. He recalled Su Qiulan's words and felt upset. From the looks of it, Qining must have liked Yi Song before, but Yi Song did not reciprocate her feelings. No wonder Yingzi had never looked at him with the love he had imagined. And after she changed jobs, she was so cold to him. Back then, when she was in a hurry to marry him, could it be that she wanted Yi Song to understand that she could actually marry a better man? Now that she saw Yi Song's achievements, she felt that it was unfair. When she heard that Yi Song helped her with her work, how could the arrogant Yingzi accept it? When others talked about Tanggua and Yi Song, her first reaction was to wonder if the two of them had fallen out. Yi Song and Tanggua were not living well. Xie Shijun did not want to think about his wife with malicious thoughts, but this woman had been by his side for so long, he could still understand a little. Through Su Qiulan's words, he already had a rough idea of what had happened. All in all, he felt uncomfortable. Chapter 6:16. Xie Shijun has already gone to the city. Tanggua really did not expect Xie Shijun to be so fast. He even brought Qining with him. Logically speaking, Xie Shijun should have adapted to the city for a while before bringing Qining over. Yes, he bought a house in the city and brought Qining over. Su Qiulan will take care of the two children. Qining also agreed. She seems to be very eager to go to the city. Yi Song did not hide anything and immediately told her his thoughts. Guogua, I always feel that Qining is very strange. What's strange? Tanggua asked with a smile. She always knew that Yi Song was very confused about Qining. Yi Song thought for a while and said, at that time, she did try to please me, but Guogua, I promise you that I really have no feelings for her. I did not accept anything from her, not even a glass of water. Okay, don't explain. I know that my Yi is not that kind of person. Hearing the words, my Yi, successfully made Yi Song laugh. He hugged his wife and rubbed her forehead. He continued, for the first 2 months, she was very attentive. Suddenly, one day, I realized that she had changed. That's why I felt that she was very strange. That day, the way she looked at me was really as if she wanted to eat me up. She looked so hateful. If she was not carrying a knife, I would have thought that she would come over and slash me. Hearing Yi Song's description, Tanggua could imagine that scene. And then, I did not have any contact with her. But I always felt that the way she looked at me was hiding hatred. I remember that I really did not do anything to her. Yi Song said, after I got married to you, I saw her less often. But occasionally, I would still notice that she looked at us coldly with a hint of schadenfreude. He always felt that there was something wrong with this woman. It's good that she went to the city. What Yi Song did not say was that he occasionally noticed that the way Chinning looked at his Guoguo was not very kind. He did not know if it was his illusion, but he always felt that some things were too coincidental. Thinking of this, he asked, Guoguo, do you still remember why you went to the river? Tang Guo raised her eyebrows. This man even suspected her. Of course, she would be very cooperative. She would not help Chinning to hide what she did. I think I'm right. Chinning asked me out the day before and said that he had something to tell me. I came out at the appointed time and happened to see you fall into the water. There was no need to say much about what happened next. Of course, he had to save her first. Yi Song pursed his lips. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was not a simple matter. But it had been so long, even if he suspected something, he couldn't find any evidence. Unless there were other witnesses at that time. He walked that road every day and had never seen a place near the river that would collapse. It just so happened that it collapsed that day. No matter how he explained it, it just didn't make sense. At that time, he didn't know what to do, so he didn't check on it afterwards. Now that he thought about it, there were a lot of suspicious points. After being saved by Guoguo, many people suddenly came, as if they had made an appointment. He vaguely remembered a voice that seemed to be saying that it was improper for a man and a woman to hug each other in broad daylight. They had ruined the reputation of the Belle of Tang village, and no matter who it was, they had to take responsibility. Yi Song's face sank when he heard the voice. It was Chinning. Ah Yi. Yi Song hugged Tang Guo. It's nothing. I have something to do and have to go out. What does Guoguo want to eat tonight? I'll come back and cook. Everything you cook is delicious, Tang Guo said contentedly. No matter what this man cooked, it was delicious. Song Yi had something to do, so he just nodded and left in a hurry. Chapter 617. Host, did Yi Song investigate what happened that year? Tang Guo leaned lazily on the sofa and replied, I think so. But it had been so many years. Could he still find out? The system did not say that if he couldn't find out, the host would really let this matter go and not cause trouble for Chinning. Some truths don't need evidence. Tang Guo said calmly. With Qin Ying's unstable personality now, she might find out the truth if she was just slightly tricked. As for how Yi Song was going to find out the truth, she didn't know. She was now quite concerned about whether Chinning would still have the mood to live a good life after knowing about the changes in Tang County and how Yi Song was much better than he was in her previous life. As for Xie Shijun, he seemed to be a very smart person. He was completely different from those who had been in the army. He was very straightforward. That day in the private room, Xie Shijun must have found out something. Otherwise, he wouldn't have bought a house in the city so quickly and brought Chinning over. After that, Xie Shijun even came over to apologize. The way he looked at her Yi was also a little different. It was obvious that he knew something. After Yi Song went out that day, he only came back at night. Looking at his expression, he seemed to know something. Lying on the bed, he hugged Tang Guo tightly. The look in his eyes seemed to be rejoicing. Although I don't know when Chinning started to hate me, I'm still very glad that she hates me. Yi Song whispered in Tang Guo's ear. If Chinning still didn't give up and didn't hate him, the person who jumped down to save him that day wasn't Tang Guo, but Chinning herself. According to Qin Ying's plan, he really had no choice but to marry Chinning. He would never like a woman like Chinning. Even if he forced himself to marry her, he wouldn't be able to become a real husband and wife with her. Tang Guo understood that Yi Song must have found out the truth. What did you find out? Yi Song hugged the soft person and sighed. I didn't have much hope at first. The person I went to look for was a bystander. I didn't expect that when I was talking to the bystander, Chen Ying's brother, Chen Shubao, saw us. He happened to overhear me asking about this. After hesitating for a while, he told me some things that we didn't know. Tang Guo was curious. Chen Shubao was 24 years old this year. His grades in school were not good, so he did not pass the college entrance examination. Perhaps because of the development of Tang County, he also felt that he did not need to study too much. In a place like Tang County, no matter how lazy the Qin family was, they would still be doing better than in other places. One thing about this Chen Shubao was that he was very obedient to Yi Song and worshipped Yi Song. He was not like the other members of the Qin family who liked to play tricks. Although he wasn't very capable, he was still okay in other aspects. His mouth was especially good at talking, and he could be considered popular. He was considered to be doing well in the Qin family. He said that the night before I fell into the water, he woke up and saw Qining going out. He was young and curious, so he followed her secretly. Yi Song's face darkened. He saw Qining digging something on the road by the river. In the end, she used the grass on the road to cover it up. Because the place where he lived was the house of a lonely old man, he was the first person to pass by there every day. Chen Ying's calculation was very accurate. He did pass by there and fell into the river. Chapter 6:18. The next day, I stepped on it and fell into the river. Chen Shubao also said that Qining gave him candy and asked him to call 2 people for her. She said that she had something to tell them, but after I got into the accident, she forgot about it. Chen Shubao originally thought that Qining wanted to fall into the river with me and be seen by others so that she could force me to marry her. Yi Song didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He also said that he didn't expect that Chen Ying's purpose was to make you jump into the river. The reason why he hid it was because he always thought that you asked Qining to help you. Tang Guo rolled her eyes, but Yi Song covered her eyes. Guogua, that's why I'm glad. If Qining didn't hate me, I wouldn't be able to marry you. Guogua, stay away from Qining in the future. That woman was too ruthless. Just because she hated him, she wanted to drag another person down with her. If it wasn't for his Guogua's charm, he wouldn't be satisfied with this marriage. He would hate Guogua and everyone in the family. Perhaps this was Chen Ying's purpose. Unfortunately, she miscalculated. The next day, when he saw the girl looking at him with a pair of beautiful eyes under the blanket, he decided that she would be his wife for the rest of his life. He would cherish her in the palm of his hand. And those who vaguely understood, seeing him and Guogua being so loving, probably thought that the fall into the river was planned by Tang Guo. When have I ever been close to Qining? Yi Song thought about it and agreed. That Qining didn't seem to like coming to his house and was even more unwilling to come. Although he still had many doubts, it wasn't important. In the future, when Xie Shijun worked in the city, he didn't seem to be willing to let Qining stay in Tang County. It could be seen that Xie Shijun was a sensible person. He didn't lose anything by helping Qining. Guogua, let's plan Tang County again. Let's strive to turn Tang County into Tang City within 5 years. Speaking of the development of Tang County, Yi Song's face was full of energy. When we become a city, I want to set up a university in Tang County. The development must keep up with the education for the future generations. He said that he would build Tang County. He also promised the person in his arms that he would let her live a better life than the rich wives in Beijing. All right, I'll draw the blueprint tomorrow. Tang Guo smiled. When the university is established, I want to be in the first batch of graduates. Yes. Yi Song hoped that his wife was studious. He hoped that he was improving, and she was also improving. The two of them would improve together, live a long life together, fulfill his inner ambitions together, and walk towards the brightest path together. Yi-song hugged the woman he loved tightly. "We'll study together and graduate together." In fact, he knew that his wife had always been very outstanding. Even if she didn't take the college entrance examination, her education level was definitely not comparable to the average person. Just his drawing skills alone were something that the university students in those schools could not compare with. She also knew how to read the original English classics. When he was young, he had been taught several foreign languages by a teacher hired by the elders. As for his wife, he didn't know when she had learned them. Moreover, his Guoguo's arithmetic was especially good. No matter how difficult his nephew's math problems were, she was able to solve them easily. Previously, he had even heard that the university teachers and Guoguo were discussing math problems. From their words, he could tell that Guoguo was very impressed. It could be seen that she was really outstanding. The two of them were working hard for Tang County to become a city. The university students in the village who had passed the exam returned one after another and worked in Tang County. There were also talents who came because of the reputation and flocked to Tang County. Chapter 6:19. When they came to Tang County, the first thing they would know was the legendary Yi-song. No matter what they talked about him, a woman would appear. When many people found out about their backgrounds and how they had developed from the beginning, even more people still admired Yi-song. Instead, they felt that Tanggua had benefited from him. This situation made Yi-song feel uncomfortable in his heart. They did not know that the reason why Tang County could be built was because his wife had contributed as much as he did. For example, the factory under his hands, the company, the chicken farm in the mountains, and various plans had Guoguo's shadow. Why did those people think that Guoguo had benefited from him? What's there to be unhappy about? If they like to say it, then let them say it. Tanggua did not care about these things. As long as they did not provoke her, she could not be bothered to care. If they provoked her, then she was very sorry. This world was so peaceful that she found it unbelievable. From the beginning, it was warm and wonderful. Whether it was family or love, it was perfect. After traveling through so many worlds, this was the most relaxing world she had ever been in. She did not know what she would encounter in the next world. She especially enjoyed this kind of idle and warm life. Yi-song touched her forehead and said, "But I don't want anyone to slander Guoguo. Whenever I hear someone say something bad about you, I feel uncomfortable." Director Song's ability to say sweet nothings has improved. Yi-song was amused. His Guoguo was still so cute. It made him want to protect her and not let her suffer any grievances. Tanggua originally thought that those people were just saying it. Their mouths belonged to others, so she could not care less. She really did not expect that there would be shameless people in this era. One day, when Yi-song went out alone, a graduate student who studied abroad and eventually chose to work in Tang County came to visit her house. She pointed out that she was the one who came to visit, not Yi-song. At first, Tanggua was still puzzled. Why was the other party looking for her? This graduate student was a very beautiful girl. She was 2 years older than Tanggua and the same year as Yi-song. She was also dressed very fashionably. She even had curly hair, which was the most popular style in this era. In short, she was dressed more intelligently. One look and one could tell that she was a cultured person. "Miss Tang, how are you? I took the liberty to visit. Am I disturbing you?" Tanggua replied indifferently, "No." After being here for so long, this was the first time someone had addressed her as Miss Tang. This form of address was indeed a little strange at the moment. Originally, the people in the village who were closer to her still called her the beauty of Tang village. Those who were further away and older called her by her name. I'm even planning to become a teacher at the school when it's established. Tangua smiled. That's good. What does Miss Axeon intend to teach? Mathematics. In Axeon's opinion, mathematics was a relatively difficult subject. Moreover, she heard that this village girl's English was pretty good. If she were to teach English, she wouldn't be able to defeat her at all. However, mathematics was different. Unless it was on campus, not many people would study this subject. Mathematics was also a subject she was good at. Math? Tangua laughed unkindly. The system also laughed along. This Axeon really did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. However, its great host was a mathematician in another world. Countless high school students would be traumatized when they heard the name Tangua. Chapter 621. Chairman's song is so outstanding. Miss Tang's hard-working heart is indeed moving. Axeon's said, Miss Tang, you're almost 25, right? 25. It's a little late to start studying at this age, but there are also many people who mature late. Axeon tucked her hair behind her ear and smiled. After the college entrance exam was reinstated, I still wanted to take the exam despite the objections of many people in my family. I always felt that the country gave us such an opportunity. If we didn't work hard and just stayed where we were, it would be a waste. Later, I was admitted to university and went abroad. When I saw more, I realized that culture was really important. At your age, I'm afraid that your learning efficiency will be a little low. However, if you want to spend a lot of time studying, it should be fine. Axeon smiled faintly. But don't be so focused on studying that you forget that you have a family to take care of. Tangua glanced at Axeon. What's there to take care of a family? There's someone to clean my house and cook my meals. I'm so bored now. I don't need to spend too much time studying. 3 to 4 hours will do. And am I 2 years younger than Miss Axeon? Tangua had seen Axeon's resume. When I looked at Miss Axeon's resume, I realized that you're a few months older than my Yi. Axeon couldn't maintain her smile. Then, she heard Tangua say, Miss Axeon is 2 years older than me and is still studying. How can I give up because of the hardship of studying? 2 years older. Axeon's face almost twisted. Did this village girl know how to talk? The university is going to be built soon. I'm very happy that Miss Axeon is willing to be a teacher at the university campus. After all, there aren't many people like Miss Axeon who still wants to teach. Tangua narrowed her eyes. I also like mathematics. I was busy back then and didn't have time to take the college entrance exam. We're going to start our own school. No matter what, we have to experience university life. When the time comes, I hope that Miss Axeon won't mind if we encounter any problems in mathematics. Of course not. Axeon pursed her lips. Shouldn't a village girl feel inferior after hearing about her experience? Axeon didn't want to stay any longer. She would wait until the other party came into contact with advanced mathematics. By then, the other party would understand how difficult this subject was. After sending Axeon off, Tangua was in a very good mood. The system couldn't take it anymore. Dear host, there's actually someone who dares to say that he's good at mathematics in front of you. Isn't he afraid that his face will swell? In the following days, Axeon did not purposely look for Tangua. Regarding this, Tangua said, people who are educated and cultured are still a little different. At least when they're trying to steal someone else's wife, they won't choose to fight like a shrew. Instead, they'll use another way to attack the first wife's confidence and make her feel inferior. System, I remember that in many worlds, the first wives of some cultured people were all not very cultured. In the end, they cheated on each other and found a young woman who had the same ambition as them, and those women might not even be prettier than the first wife. Therefore, Xanzu's path is indeed feasible under certain circumstances. Tanguo smiled coldly. But it's really wrong to be a mistress. The system shuddered. Yes, the host hated mistresses. Chapter 622. Another 3 years had passed, and the university campus was completed. All the planning came from Tanguo. She was even the supervisor. She even personally wrote many of the inscriptions and paintings in the university. However, outsiders did not know that the university campus was not open to the public when it was being built. Only those who were around Tanguo every day knew that she had good handwriting and paintings. However, Tanguo felt that her words were not important enough here. This would be a university campus in the future. She was too young and did not have much fame. Therefore, she specially contacted Yi Song's grandfather, Elder Yuan, and asked him to write the words. There was another reason for inviting Elder Yuan to Tang County. Not only did Elder Yuan come, but he also brought a group of his friends. They were a group of literary giants who were still alive. They looked at the building of the future university and were a little shocked, especially when they saw Tanguo's words. They gave Elder Yuan a thumbs up. Your granddaughter-in-law is amazing. Elder Yuan laughed proudly. She is amazing. When she first came to Beijing, I knew that Xiao Guo was not a simple girl. However, I did not expect her to be so secretive. These words were really unique. Who would believe that she was not even 30 years old? Now, he finally understood how Yi Song felt when he complained to him that outsiders always looked down on his wife and made him sad. It was clearly a gem, but everyone thought that Tanguo had taken advantage of it. No wonder his grandson felt uncomfortable. Come on, old people. Xiao Guo did not invite us here to be idle. We have to work. Whether it was Elder Yuan or the group of literary giants he brought with him, they all had a premonition that this university would become a world-famous university in the future. It would be a university that countless students from all over the world yearned for. When they thought that a famous university would be born in their hands, everyone was incomparably excited. They trembled as they held their brushes and began to write their feelings with their hearts. Half a year later, Tang County was successfully promoted to a city. The mayor, who used to be close to the family Tang, was transferred to the provincial government a year ago and became the second in command of the provincial government. If there were no accidents, he would be the next leader. This second-in-command's journey was filled with legends. He didn't do anything but support Yi Song. It could be said that countless people envied him. Because his promotion was really glorious and easy. He had been walking steadily all the way. He was neither greedy nor arrogant, and there were almost no weaknesses that could be used against him. He would also often propose various policies that would benefit the people and the country. It could be said that he was a very popular official. To this day, he was still lamenting about how easy it was to be promoted. Doing good deeds and developing the city under one's command was just like that. Of course, he also understood that Yi Song and the family Tang must be involved in this. The application to apply for a university had also been approved. In fact, no one had rejected it. With Yi Song's current status, who would dare to make things difficult for him? In addition, Senior Doyen and the others had been asked to stay by Tanguo for various reasons half a year ago. With this group of literary giants around, everyone could see that these literary giants would probably become professors in this school. Later on, their feelings were indeed not wrong. The first principal of Tang City University was Senior Doyen, and the literary giants who followed Senior Doyen all became professors in the school. Originally, when the school was first established, the teaching staff would definitely not be able to keep up. They would need to recruit wantonly, and they might not be able to attract outstanding teachers. They might not even be able to recruit enough students. Chapter 623. However, due to the reputation of Tang City and the reputation of Elder Yuan, many of their students were willing to work at Tang City University. For a time, Tang City University gathered the top teachers in the country. Countless students filled up the university in the first year of enrollment. They were all looking forward to spending a few years at this legendary university. Tang Gua and Yi Song successfully became the first batch of students at this university. The two of them were classmates, and the people who taught them were a group of literary giants. Xan Ziyue had also entered the university to teach mathematics. However, with this group of literary giants and people who had made achievements in mathematics, it was really not her turn to teach Tang Gua and Yi Song. Especially when she knew that Elder Yuan was Yi Song's grandfather and admired Tang Gua very much, Xan Ziyue did not dare to act recklessly. Moreover, many of the inscriptions on the campus were written by Tang Gua. Looking at the self-contained words, Xan Ziyue had to admit that this village girl was the best village girl in the world. She was not a simple person. What made Xan Ziyue even more shocked was that Tang Gua was simply a genius in mathematics. No, it should be said that this village girl was a genius in all aspects. She knew what she learned and could draw inferences about other things no matter what. Especially in mathematics. Even the old mathematician praised that Tang Gua's talent in mathematics was even better than his. He even cherished talents and asked Tang Gua if she had any plans to develop in this area. In the end, he was rejected by Tang Gua. At that time, Xan Ziyue was also there. She admired this mathematician very much and often came to consult him when she was free. She heard Tang Gua say with her own ears, "I'm too busy doing research. I just came to the university to experience university life. What I want to do the most in my life is to accompany Yi and build our Tang City." Later on, Tang Gua did exactly that. When she got close to her, Xan Ziyue realized how outstanding this village girl that she looked down on was. None of the literary giants, old professors, and old pedants of Tang City University disliked Tang Gua. No matter how profound the problem was, she could always discuss her own opinions. Later on, she also found out that she could not only speak English, but also German, French, and Japanese. Xan Ziyue was astonished. Just how great was this village girl's ambition? When had she started to self-study? Later, exchange students from different countries and professors came to Tang City University. Tang Gua alone was able to communicate with them. She was able to switch languages with ease. The foreigners were also impressed by the charm of this Chinese woman. They were shocked that such a powerful person had appeared in Tang City. No matter who she met, she was always calm and collected. This was something that Xan Ziyue could never do. This woman was really amazing. In the future, whenever Xan Ziyue saw Tang Gua, she felt ashamed of her initial thoughts more than once. The ancients were right. There was always someone better than you. Living in this world, you should never underestimate anyone. When Tang City became a municipality, it was also the time when Tang City University stepped out of the World Gate. It was also the time when Tang City University's second principal took office. The second principal was Tang Gua. She had personally witnessed Tang City becoming a municipality, Tang City University becoming a world-famous university, and nurturing countless talents. She was not surprised that Tang Gua became the second principal of Tang City University. Even though she only studied in university and did not continue to obtain a higher degree, her cultural literacy was something that even the current doctoral students did not dare to say that they could compare to her. Chapter 624. Now, Yi Song was a celebrity. He had been working hard for the economic development of Tang City for 10 years. Tang Guo was also a celebrity. Like Yi Song, she had been working hard for Tang City. However, her efforts were to develop Tang City into a city with a cultural heritage. Now, many of the words said by the couple had been selected into textbooks. Some of the wise sayings could be found in them. The two of them had been named as People of the Year for many years. Tang Guo would often fly to other schools in the country and even abroad to give speeches. It was the same for Yi Song. Some developing cities would often invite him to give speeches. There were also foreign prime ministers who invited him to attend some business gatherings to share the global economy. However, no matter where the two of them went to give speeches, they would always go to the same place. As long as they would be separated for more than 3 days, they would tactfully reject it. Later on, the people who invited them learned their lesson and invited them together. Sure enough, it proved that their idea was right. They would basically agree to any invitation together. The current Tang City University was not something that ordinary people could get into. If they wanted to go to Tang City University, not only did they have to have good grades, but they also had to pay attention to other aspects of development. In short, it was not a university that could be entered just by studying. Tang City University had another very important segment. It was the only university in the country that required an interview to enter. Even though the conditions became more and more stringent, there were still countless people desperately trying to squeeze in. Some people wanted to experience the world's famous schools, while others wanted to see the two people who were admired by many people. This year, the two of them were already in their early 40s. They walked hand in hand in Tang City University. The two of them still looked very young. The students passing by looked at the two of them leisurely strolling. They snickered for a while and were especially envious. The relationship between the principal and Chairman Song was really good. They had never seen the two of them lose their temper. No matter where they went, Chairman Song would carefully hold their principal's hand, as if she was afraid that the principal would be lost. Countless students used the relationship between the two of them as an example. The students in Tang City University all had a firm belief in love. If they did not talk about it, they would talk about it. If they did, they would talk about a relationship that would never break up, just like their principal and Chairman Song. Because of this belief, among the universities in the country and even the world, the students of Tang City University had the fewest relationships. Whether it was boys or girls, they were very cautious and serious when choosing a partner. Students who graduated from Tang City University had the lowest divorce rate, and there was basically no domestic violence problem. The men who graduated from Tang City University doted on their wives very much. The women who graduated from Tang City University were very tolerant and mostly encouraged their husbands. Later on, it gradually developed into a situation where many people were proud to marry a man who graduated from Tang City University, and they were lucky to marry a wife who graduated from Tang City University. However, the people of Tang City University were still more willing to digest it internally. In the end, they would choose from among the alumni. It was a matter of not knowing whether to laugh or cry. The Song family is in a mess again. A few years ago, the two of them knew that the Song family was in trouble. It was just as Yi Song had analyzed. Song Rui and Song Xian also resigned and went into the business world, ready to do something big. Unexpectedly, the people the Song family offended found out, and naturally, they lost all the money they had earned. Later on, no matter how hard he tried, he lost all kinds of opportunities. As long as the Song family wanted something, some people would make sure that the Song family couldn't get it. Chapter 625. No matter whether the Song family was willing or not, they could only accept their fate. Song Rui and Song Xian went back to work in the government, but there was no possibility of promotion. Later, Song Rui and Song Xian got girlfriends. Song Rui's parents were not satisfied with Song Rui's girlfriends, but they couldn't find a better one. Their grandson was going to get married, so they had to buy a house. At this time, the Song family couldn't afford any extra money. Zhou Yafeng proposed to sell one of the two Sihiyuan. Because of this, Song Rui's parents were both hospitalized. One of the Sihiyuan was sold. The whole family lived in a bigger Sihiyuan and bought a separate house for Song Rui. When Song Xian got married, she also proposed to buy a house. They made a scene again. Song Rui and Song Xian also fell out. Song Rui and Song Xian were old. They were so angry that they never woke up. The remaining Sihiyuan was sold and 2 houses were bought. Zhou Yafeng and Song Xingrong lived in one, and the other one was given to Song Xian. Song Xian was satisfied, but Song Rui was not. He thought that his sister shouldn't want the things in the family when she got married. His wife was not simple. She instigated him to squeeze Song Xingrong and Zhou Yafeng dry. Later, Song Xingrong and Zhou Yafeng were reduced to renting a house. They still needed to take care of their grandson. Then they were taken to Song Rui's house and lived a miserable life. Some years later, Tang Gua and Yi Song were known all over the country. Song Xingrong took Zhou Yafeng to Yi Song's house. He thought that he could take advantage of her, but he was directly sued by Yi Song for bigamy. In the end, Song Xingrong went back and didn't dare to come to Yi Song again. Every time he saw the high-spirited young man at the TV station and heard Song Rui urging him to cook, his grandson causing trouble in the living room and yelling at him, Song Xingrong regretted it. He really regretted it. Although he didn't starve to death now, Song Qing and Yi Song would only give them the legal alimony. And the money would be taken away by Song Rui as soon as they got it. Zhou Yafeng's life was not easy either. Song Qing and Yi Song had no obligation to support her. Her own daughter and son were not filial to her, and she had to listen to countless people praising Yi Song every day. She felt terrible and had to hold it in for the rest of her life. "What is it this time?" Tang Gua asked. Yi Song chuckled. "What could it be? Song Rui and his sister aren't having a good time. They're facing competition for jobs and they're about to be squeezed out." Song Rui returned home and had a big fight with Song Xingrong and Zhou Yafeng. He even said that if the Zhou family hadn't offended someone, if Zhou Yafeng hadn't done anything wrong, and if Song Xingrong hadn't done anything wrong, their family wouldn't have ended up in such a miserable state. Tang Guo couldn't help but laugh. "Song Rui is trying to force Song Xingrong to come to you and elder sister." "He won't be coming," Yi Song said in a relaxed tone. "He already understands." When the court announced that he and Song Qing had to give Song Xingrong a fixed monthly alimony, he gave it willingly. He knew very well that even with this sum of money, Song Xingrong couldn't live a good life. On the contrary, he would be more desperate. Song Xingrong would understand that he hurt his mother and what the final result would be. Song Xingrong would also understand that if he came to Yi Song and Song Qing, he would only be exploited countless times by his unfilial youngest son. Sure enough, Song Xingrong didn't come to Yi Song even once until he died. He didn't go to Song Qing either. After Song Xingrong died, Song Rui was the most desperate one. Without the money from Yi Song and Song Qing, their family was in a big trouble. Chapter 626. Yi Song only did one thing, which was to attract the Song family to do business. Then, the Song family went bankrupt. It was ridiculous. After Song Xingrong died, he went back once. He heard from the hospital that Song Xingrong kept calling his and Song Qing's names when he died. Yi Song was very calm about this. He went back because he wanted to see what happened to Zhou Yafeng. An old woman with a sallow complexion and emaciated body looked at him with disgust. Yi Song did not mind. With a smile on his face, he held his beloved wife's hand, nodded to the people he knew, and left the Song family. From now on, he had nothing to do with the people here. After walking out of the Song family, Yi Song said to Tang Guo, "The dead are free, but the living have to continue to suffer. There will always be people who don't repent and don't think they are wrong." Tang Guo was referring to Zhou Yafeng. She looked at Yi Song as if she wanted to eat him. Later, when they returned to Tang City, they heard another thing. Xie Shijun and Qining divorced. This year, Xie Shijun's youngest daughter graduated from university. He chose to divorce her. If Qining was just bad-tempered, Xie Shijun wouldn't have made such a choice. Tang Guo heard about it later. Qining cheated on Xie Shijun many years ago. Because of the two children, Xie Shijun chose to keep it a secret. Originally, he wanted to win Qinying's heart back. But Qining was like a broken pot. She actually kissed another man in front of Xie Shijun. This delicate and honest man chose to keep it a secret for the sake of his children. He endured it until his youngest daughter graduated from university. Then, he chose to divorce Qining. Xie Shijun did not make this matter public. Instead, Qining had demanded an exorbitant price for her divorce, and the two children found out the truth. The two children, who had been raised by Xie Shijun and Su Qiulan, chose to side with their father and criticized Qinying's behavior. Since Qining moved to the city, she didn't care much about the two children. After the two children came back, they realized that their mother didn't love them anymore. When they made the choice, they didn't hesitate. If they didn't stand by their father at this time, they would be very disappointed. Xie Shijun's divorce was a big deal. But Xie Shijun didn't make things difficult for Qining. He just didn't agree to the other party's excessive conditions. Later on, Qining did not care about his reputation anymore and simply went all out. Occasionally, Tang Guo would hear news about her, which was that she had changed to another man. It was said that the two children were especially filial to Xie Shijun. They even advised Xie Shijun to find a woman who truly liked him. Later on, Xie Shijun really did meet a woman who truly liked him. He obtained a middle-aged love and lived a very happy life. Before Tang Guo left this world, she heard that Qining came back to look for Xie Shijun. It seemed that she regretted it, but her two children politely asked her to leave. In this life, she left with Yi Song. They stayed in the same ward and held hands. There were countless people who came to send them off. This was also the first time she left a world where everyone in the room was crying. When she closed her eyes, she sighed. This world was really not bad. Everyone was very friendly. System isn't that right? No one can afford to mess with you. When Tang Guo opened her eyes again, she found that she was in a cave. Just when she was guessing which world she was in this time and whether she escaped to a cave to avoid being hunted down, she found that her body was wrapped with animal skin. It could only cover her lower body and upper body. Her arms and legs were exposed. Chapter 627. Tang Guo looked around the cave. Other than the place she was lying on, there were only some stone tools and food in the corner. There were meat, fruits, and some animal skins. Beast Men World. Even without receiving the memories and watching the plot, she could guess that this was the Beast Men World. There's no one outside, right? None at the moment. Dear host, do you want to watch the plot and receive the memories? Yes. Tang Guo lay back on the stone bed covered with animal skins. From the layout of the cave, her status should not be low. She closed her eyes and watched the plot of this world while receiving the memories of the original owner. The female lead of this world was called Ning Luo. In the modern world, she was a student who had just finished her college entrance examination. During the summer vacation, she went on a holiday to reward herself. She did not expect to accidentally transmigrate into the beast men world. She was almost eaten by a beast when she transmigrated. Fortunately, one of the male leads, a lion named Gaines, appeared and saved her. He took a fancy to Ning Luo and wanted her to be his female. He brought her back to the tribe. Ning Luo, a young girl who had just turned 18, suddenly appeared in this backward tribe and attracted the attention of all the beast men. Many males felt that Ning Luo was different from the females in their tribe. She was especially beautiful and liked her. But as the female lead, only the strong beast men dared to approach her. Otherwise, they would be beaten up badly by Gaines. In the beast men world, Ning Luo was entangled with a total of 5 strong males. She wrote about their love and hatred, from fighting to misunderstanding, to giving in to each other. In the end, they decided to share Ning Luo. Ning Luo also brought about many changes in the beast men world because she was a modern person. The original owner, Agwagwa, had a high status in this tribe called Lado. She was also a female who had not reached adulthood, but many males were already expressing their love for her every day. Agwagwa was still 2 years away from reaching adulthood. Originally, with her status, she could choose the strongest male in the tribe. But because of Ning Luo's appearance, everything was broken. Agwagwa was a little princess who was pampered by everyone. She was not on good terms with Ning Luo from the start. But she did not bother to argue with Ning Luo. She did not like any of Ning Luo's males. The male she liked was the mysterious high priest, Yin Yao. However, all the females in the tribe didn't like Ning Luo. Ning Luo alone attracted all the strong males in the tribe. Some of them were even fancied by other females. As long as there was a chance, they could mate. Agwagwa had become their best tool. These females had set up a conflict between Agwagwa and Ning Luo. Agwagwa could win against Ning Luo, but she was helpless against the strong males protecting Ning Luo. Later, Agwagwa somehow became the most vicious female in the tribe. Everyone in the tribe hated Agwagwa and even wanted to expel Agwagwa from the tribe. Later, when the tribe was in danger, a powerful beast-man nation heard about Ning Luo and demanded them to hand him over. Everyone in the Lado tribe was unwilling to hand over Ning Luo, but if they didn't hand over Ning Luo, the Orc Kingdom would attack them, occupy their tribe, and steal their food and females. In the end, a male from Ning Luo suggested that they should hand over Agwagwa. Agwagwa was also very petite and could be passed off as a real person. Everyone in the Lajuo tribe agreed. Chapter 628. Ning Luo did not want to be handed over and naturally did not object to this suggestion. She hid in her male's arms and pretended not to hear anything. At that time, the high priest Yin Yao was out and Agwagwa did not even have the chance to ask him for help. She was tied up by the Lajuo tribe, changed into the clothes sewn by Ning Luo, combed the same hairstyle as Ning Luo and handed over to that country. When Agwagwa was taken away, she saw the relieved expressions of the Lajuo tribe and the scene of Ning Luo and her males playing around lovingly. She seemed to have heard their discussions. She deserves to end up like this. Yes, she was evil to begin with. She harmed Ning Luo so many times, she deserved it. Agwagwa was brought back to that country and her identity was quickly exposed. In that foreign country, she was tortured horribly and was filled with hatred before she died. She hated Ning Luo's males and hated the entire Lajuo tribe. At the same time, she missed the high priest Yin Yao very much. It was a pity that she did not get to see him for the last time. After Agwagwa died, she did not know that when Yin Yao came back and heard about this, he barged into this big country alone to look for her and was severely injured in the end. After that, he went to look for Ning Luo and her female. Ning Luo even fancied Yi Niao. Yi Niao hated Ning Luo and wanted to kill her. In the end, he was stopped by her male. Yi Niao was seriously injured again and escaped. Dragging his injured body, he inquired about the place where Guoguo's body was found. Her body had already been eaten by wild beasts. He only found a necklace made of animal bones and a cracked turtle shell among the remains of her body. Looking at the turtle shell, Yi Niao only said one sentence, "I'm sorry I'm late." After that, Yi Niao used the rest of his life to create trouble for Ning Luo and the rest. He became the biggest villain in this Beast World story. Of course, his ending was tragic. In the end, Yi Niao died and the Beast World was unified by Ning Luo. She brought her males to live a happy life. Guogua and Yi Niao were just passers-by in her journey to the Beast World, tools to improve her relationship with her males. After reading the plot, Tanguo fell silent for a while. She raised her head and looked at the entrance of the cave with a smile. "It's okay, it's not that tragic." The system did not understand. Wasn't tragic. She died without a burial place. "Dear host, you're pretty pitiful." The system could not help but blurt out. Both Guogua and Yi Niao were miserable. Could Yi Niao be that guy? Hearing Tangua's words, the system suddenly realized that the host was not miserable. Could it be that there was another Yi Niao who would use his whole life to seek justice for Guogua? Regardless of whether it was out of love or for other reasons, this was something that his host really liked. Chapter 629. Look, it's Gain. Someone shouted, and everyone looked outside the tribe. A lion was running towards the tribe. When it was close to the tribe, the strong lion suddenly turned into a tall and strong man. He was naked on the top and had a complete piece of animal skin wrapped around his lower body. He was carrying a petite female in his arms. She was dressed strangely in the eyes of the tribe. Is that a female in Gain's arms? It looks like it. She's so skinny. Her arms and legs are so thin. I feel like she'll break if I pinch her. Can a female like this give birth to healthy cubs after mating? Ning Luo had been carried by a lion for a long time. She was already terrified by Gain's ability to turn into a lion. Now that she was brought to this strange place, she was so scared that she didn't dare to say a word. In particular, she could feel the malice from these people's gazes and discussions. She carefully raised her head and looked at the people who were talking about her. She was a little stunned at what she saw. These women were all tall and strong. They were still wrapped in animal skin. Some of them only covered certain parts of their bodies. The lower parts were also covered above their knees. They had thick limbs and dark skin. Their faces weren't very good-looking and they looked a little ferocious when they smiled. In short, most of them looked like this. Where was this place? Ning Luo suddenly felt a very special gaze. She looked up and saw a woman who looked different from the other women in the tribe. She was still wearing animal skin. Her skin wasn't as fair and she looked more slender. With the smooth lines of her body, she didn't look weak. This is my female. Gain put Ning Luo down and held her waist possessively. Ning Luo couldn't break free. She didn't know where she was, so she chose to stay silent and leaned into Gain's arms. The expressions of the females in the tribe changed when they heard Gain's words. They looked at Ning Luo with even more hostility. However, they didn't dare to say anything because of Gain's power. Gain didn't care about these people. The reason why he made the announcement in public was because he knew that Luo Luo would definitely be very attractive to males like him. He wanted to announce to all the members of the tribe that Luo Luo was his female and no one should even think about snatching her away. In front of everyone, he carried Ning Luo, who hadn't reacted yet, on his shoulder. His action seemed very rough, but Ning Luo didn't feel any pain. He heaved a sigh of relief. Gain has a female. What about Ollie? Ollie has always liked Gain. How can that little female compare to our Ollie? If Ollie knew about this, she would be very sad. Tang Guo crossed her arms and watched as Ning Luo was carried into the cave by Gains. There were not only caves in the tribe, but also stone houses. Some members preferred to live in caves, while others preferred to live in stone houses. Ning Luo seemed to be able to sense Tangua's gaze. She lifted her head from Gain's shoulder and met Tangua's gaze. Perhaps Tangua was the only person who looked similar to her, so she gave her a helpless smile. Go and tell Ollie that Gaines has found a female. She bit into the jerky and didn't care about the fragrance floating into her nose. She should be able to cook meat soup tomorrow. She didn't intend to show that she was different and give Ning Luo the wrong impression that they were from the same hometown. She didn't plan to have a good relationship with Ning Luo. She had a grudge against him, so it wouldn't be easy for her to make a move on him. Of course, she could make a move on him if she could. She would never be soft-hearted towards her enemies, no matter who they were. But when she made a move, she didn't want Ning Luo to look at her with an expression that said, "We're so close, why do you want to kill me?" He would cry endlessly, as if she was a scum who abandoned him. Chapter 631. The sky gradually darkened. Tangua turned back to the cave, took a piece of jerky and a bag of dried fruits, and walked towards a remote stone house in the tribe. When she arrived at the door of the stone house, she shouted, "High Priest, are you there?" The little girl's sweet voice entered the stone house, making Yinyao pause. Through the open door, he saw Guogua's slender figure and answered, "Yes." "High Priest, open the door." "What's the matter?" Yinyao felt strange. Why did Guogua suddenly come to him? Didn't this little female hide behind others and look at him with fear every time she saw him? Tangua smiled. "Open the door first, then we'll talk." Yinyao opened the door curiously. It was actually a door made of vines. It was very easy for Tangua to barge in. However, the high priest had the weirdest temper in the entire tribe. At the same time, his position was the highest. Without his permission, no one in the tribe dared to offend him, they all respected him. This was because Yinyao had helped the tribe through many crises. He also knew herbs and could treat the sick and injured members. He was regarded as a god by the tribe members. The door was opened, and Yinyao appeared at the door. He was very tall, with smooth muscles. From afar, he looked very slender, unlike Gain who was very burly. He looked very explosive. Her body was wrapped in a layer of snow-white beast skin, and her long black hair was draped over her back. Around her neck was a necklace made of beast bones, which was also snow-white. On her wrist was a bracelet made of beast bones, which was engraved with complicated patterns. Tangua stood in front of him, still like a little kid. She looked at Yinyao's overly handsome face and smiled brightly. "High Priest, let's talk inside." Yinyao's expression stiffened for a moment as he was stared at by the beautiful little female in front of him. He was expressionless and looked at her with a profound look. He frowned and said, "Guogua, what do you want?" "Let's talk inside, it's not convenient to talk here." Tangua didn't miss the moment Yinyao's expression stiffened. His pretentious attitude made her laugh to death. The high priestess was a woman who was cold on the outside but passionate on the inside. She took a step forward and directly pushed Yinyao into the house before following him in. Yinyao couldn't react in time and was really pushed in. When he came back to his senses, he saw the little female sitting in his room unceremoniously. She placed the dried meat and fruits on the stone table and looked at him with a smile. High Priestess, come in. Why are you still standing outside? Yi Niao's footsteps were very stiff. Every member of the tribe was respectful when they saw him. There was really no one who dared to be so indecent and talk to him with a smile. How dare you push him? When did this little female become so gutsy? It was a little awkward, but also a little fresh, especially when Guoguo laughed. Somehow, he closed the door unconsciously and walked into the room. Why are you looking for me? Who's hurt? Or who's sick? Yi Niao asked seriously. Tanggua sat on a stone stool that was obviously a little high. The furnishings in the high priest's house were more advanced than the other members of the tribe. They were also more practical. The two slender legs that were exposed under the animal skin swayed, making Yi Niao a little dizzy. He coughed lightly and shifted his gaze elsewhere. Guogua. I. Tanggua answered with a smile. Her obedient look made Yi Niao unable to say anything to criticize her. The system was that unlucky guy who lost his memory after transmigrating. Otherwise, the host wouldn't have tormented it the moment she came in. Chapter 632. High Priest, have some jerky. I'm not hungry. Have some dried fruit. No need. Tanggua cupped her face and looked at Yi Niao, who was still pretending to be cold and mysterious. Her eyes curved and she glanced outside. High Priest, it smells so good outside. I wonder what Gaines is cooking. Do you want to eat? Yi Niao, this little female must be sick. Her brain must be sick. I don't want to eat. Yi Niao stood a little far away from Tanggua and replied coldly. Even though he was cold and indifferent, he realized that the little female in front of him didn't seem to mind at all. Instead, she looked at him with a smile, making him feel uncomfortable all over. He felt as if his animal skin was about to fall off. Even his ears were a little hot. Yi Niao's ears were slightly red, of course, Tanggua noticed it. She realized that although this guy had lost his memory after transmigrating, he had a little habit that would never change in every world. His ears would turn red when she teased him. He was even more shy than a girl. This made her even more unable to stop. After transmigrating through so many worlds, she was able to meet such cute people every time. It was really interesting. Gaines has a female. Yi Niao's expression was more serious this time. Is it Olga? No. If it's Olga, I won't talk to you. Tanggua pointed at the stone bench opposite the stone table. High Priest, do you like to talk while standing? Can I sit down? You're too tall. My neck hurts when I talk to you. Guogua was getting smaller and smaller. In the past, this little female wasn't very afraid of him. She always hid behind others and peeked at him secretly. A pair of deer-like eyes really left a deep impression on him. Who is it? He walked to the stone bench and sat down. Even though he was wearing animal skin, Tanggua still felt that he should be wearing a celestial robe. The aura he exuded was really out of place in the orc tribe. Tanggua replied while chewing on a dried fruit. I don't know her. She's a very strange female. She was picked up by Gaines from the outside. He hid her in his residence after bringing her back. Everyone is talking about her. High Priest, you must have smelled the fragrance that wafted out just now. I suspect that it's the smell of that strange female. She also wanted to drink meat soup. It was better than eating dried fruits and meat. Yi Niao frowned, it's an unidentified female. What do you mean by strange? It's just that the clothes he's wearing are very strange. I've never seen them before. Who was he trying to fool? Tangua continued, anyway, it's not animal skin. It looks very light. I don't know what it's made of. I'll ask Gain tomorrow. If an unknown person came to the Lado tribe, it could bring danger to the entire tribe. After Yinyao finished speaking, he saw that Tangguo was still not leaving. He asked, Aguagua, is there anything else? It was obvious that she was trying to chase her away, but Tangguo didn't seem to notice it. Yes. What is it? Yinyao let out a sigh of relief. This little female was very strange today. It was better to get rid of her as soon as possible and hope that she could return to normal tomorrow. Tangguo stopped eating the dried fruit and supported her chin with both hands. High Priest, I'm sick. Yinyao's expression turned serious. Where do you feel uncomfortable? I don't feel well anywhere. Yinyao couldn't continue the conversation. He walked in front of Tangguo and carefully observed her expression. After hesitating for a while, he held her wrist and started to check. Aguagua, after my examination, your body is very healthy. You can kill a sheep without any problems. Tangguo's lips curled up slightly. She looked at Yinyao with a smile. Mental illness. Chapter 633. Yinyao fell into confusion. He frowned and stared at Tangguo. Can you describe what kind of mental illness it is? He had treated many illnesses for the members of the tribe, but he had never treated mental illnesses, so he was curious. Tangguo stood up and looked at Yinyao seriously. Her gaze made Yinyao feel a little uncomfortable. She then said, it's just that if I don't see High Priest for a day, I feel uncomfortable. High Priest, do you think there's something wrong with my heart? Yinyao's ears reddened at a speed visible to the naked eye. He looked away. His heart was very complicated. Was this little female courting him? But looking at the little female's confused face, he took back his previous thoughts. She was too young, there were still 2 more years before she became an adult, it shouldn't be intentional. She was too young to understand. High Priest. Can I come and see you every day in the future? I'll feel better after seeing you once. Tangguo looked at the man in front of her with a complicated expression and red ears. She was overjoyed. The great host of the system was too bad, bullying her because she didn't have her memories after transmigrating. High Priest, you won't disagree, right? The people in the tribe all say that you can treat any illness, you should be able to treat my illness too. Tangguo looked at Yinyao who didn't know how to answer, and said quickly, High Priest, it's dark, I have to go back. Let's just say it like this, I'll come and find you tomorrow for treatment. After saying that, she turned and ran out. Yinyao didn't even have a chance to refute. He stood at the door of the stone house and looked at the little female who ran back to the cave quickly. Unconsciously, his lips curled into a smile. Recalling what she said just now, his smile gradually froze. After it froze, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What an insensible little female. Tangguo returned to the cave and rolled around on the stone bed covered with animal skin. It's so fun. The great host of the system, be careful not to break it. With such a host, should he be happy or happy? He should be happy. After all, the host wouldn't destroy the world for no reason. At most, he would fall in love and take revenge at the same time. Tangguo looked at the moonlight that gradually shone in from outside. She smiled and said, Yinyao, right? What a shy person. The system's heart was trembling. It didn't know what the host wanted to do. Host, please don't torture me. Don't worry, I can't wait to spoil him, how could I bear to torture him? This guy is especially cute in this world, I won't do anything to him. The system muttered to itself. Is that so? Why is it so untrustworthy? Let's light a candle and pray first. The next morning, many people went to the entrance of Gain's cave to ask him about the smell of meat yesterday. Tangguo woke up early in the morning. Gain was very close to her cave, only 20 steps away. She sat at the entrance of the cave and observed the situation there. This time, Gain didn't hide Ning Luo in the cave. Instead, he led Ning Luo out. Ning Luo was still wearing the same modern clothes, and everyone in the tribe saw him as a rare sight. In order to see Ning Luo and find out what was going on with the meat fragrance yesterday, the males in the tribe did not go out early in the morning to look for food. Gain knew that if he didn't explain, no one would let him go. Plus, he had planned to teach the method of cooking meat soup to the people in the tribe. Chapter 634. The Beastmen tribes either ate raw meat or dried it under the sun. They didn't cook it at all. They lived in the forest and were especially afraid of fire. They saw fire as a scourge. If it was not necessary, they would not touch fire. There were almost no orcs who were not afraid of fire. This was because there were many incidents in the Beastman tribe where a small spark could burn down an entire forest, burning down their homes. In their eyes, fire was an evil thing that could destroy everything. They knew that fire could cook meat. Sometimes, when the forest was on fire, they would eat the meat of the burnt beasts. In the winter, the fire would bring them warmth. From the start, the orcs did not touch fire. But after knowing the benefits of fire, they kept fire seeds in the tribe. In the Leto tribe, the only person who was not afraid of fire was the high priest. The location of the fire seed was the closest to the high priest's stone house. Under normal circumstances, no one would go and take the fire seed, even if they knew that fire could cook food. Actually, if they ate too much roasted meat, they would feel that it was very dry and did not taste very good. Most of the members did not like to eat it and still ate it raw. Last night, after Gaines took the meat, he threw a piece to Ning Luo for her to chew on. When Ning Luo saw the bloody piece of meat, she almost vomited what she ate yesterday. She told Gaines that she did not eat raw meat. Gaines thought of roasted meat. Even though he was strong, he was still afraid of fire. But seeing that his female did not eat, he took out a fire. The cave was very big, so it was not a problem to make a small fire. For this, he even put a lot of water at the side to prevent it from burning. He threw the meat into the fire. Ning Luo was stunned. In the end, he gave a piece of black meat to Ning Luo. After Ning Luo took a bite, she realized that it was very hard to chew. Roasted meat without seasoning was very disgusting. She looked at the utensils in the cave and had the idea of cooking meat soup. Gaines realized that his female was not afraid of fire. He was very happy and let Ning Luo cook the meat soup. Ning Luo also found a few special seasonings outside the cave. She picked them, washed them and threw them into the meat soup. This was why everyone smelled the fragrance of meat yesterday. Not only did Ganen tell everyone how to make the broth, he also told everyone about the spices that Ning Luo had discovered. Everyone decided that when they went out to find food in the future, they would definitely pick some of these spices and bring them back. Ning Luo came up with the recipe for making meat soup, and at Gaines' request, he cooked a big pot of meat soup in front of all the tribe members and shared it with everyone. After eating the broth, all the male members who didn't have a mate looked at Ning Luo with sparkling eyes. A female could possess many males, but a strong male could possess a female alone. Gaines could clearly feel the unfriendliness of the other males. He announced in front of everyone that Ning Luo was his female and warned them not to have any ideas about her. The tribe was in chaos again because of Ning Luo. Many male members challenged Gain, but Gain wasn't afraid at all. He defeated more than 10 men in front of Ning Luo. When he turned around to look at Ning Luo, Ning Luo's face turned red. In the end, he smiled and carried Ning Luo into the cave in front of everyone. Tang Guo watched the drama unfold and took a sip of the broth. It doesn't taste good. Maybe it was because the beast men hadn't eaten it before, but it was indeed much better than raw meat. She gave the broth to Aie and went to Yin Yao's stone house. Chapter 635. High Priest. Tangua stood outside the stone house and shouted. She glanced at the bowl placed on the stone outside the house. It was a bowl of meat soup. It should be someone from the tribe. They didn't want to disturb Yin Yao, so they placed the meat soup at the door. Yin Yao, who was in the house, froze. He calmed himself down and spoke coldly. Agwagwa. It's me, High Priest. We agreed on this yesterday. Tangua stood at the door and smiled. We agreed that I would come here every day to see you and treat your illness. The high priest who was holding the stone almost dropped it. He kept a straight face and said, I remember. Then, High Priest, I'm coming in. Before Yin Yao could reply, Tangua pushed open the vine-made door. She stuck her head in and saw Yin Yao sitting in the house with a straight face. Then, she walked in. The system, this host, was a long story. High Priest, I know what's with the fragrance yesterday. Gonan has already told everyone. Yin Yao sat cross-legged on the ground. There was a short stone table in front of him. Usually, when people came to him for treatment, he would do his divination on this table. The two stone stools were actually the only ones in the tribe. As for where he found them, only Yin Yao himself knew. Tangua sat cross-legged in front of Yin Yao. Her beautiful eyes stared at Yin Yao without blinking. Yin Yao's entire body tensed up. His gaze was fixed on the turtle shell on the table. This was what he used for divination. High Priest, as expected, my heart feels better when I look at you. Yin Yao's hands trembled. Fortunately, he didn't raise his hands to play with the tools for divination. He replied with a straight face. Agwagwa said she knew the reason for the meat's fragrance. Yeah, so it's because of the new female. She cooked the meat soup and added seasoning. That's why it tastes so good. Tangua remembered the bowl of soup she saw at the door. She turned around and brought it in. This should be sent by Gonan. Yin Yao recalled that Gonan did shout that there was something outside. Do you want to have a taste? Tangua placed the meat soup in front of Yin Yao. Yin Yao looked at the meat soup. There were green spices floating on top of it. He took a sip and his brows relaxed. It's indeed better than barbecued meat. Everyone in the tribe knew that the high priest didn't eat raw meat. Roasted meat didn't taste good, so he rarely ate it. Basically, he only ate some fruits. Because of this, the people in the tribe felt that the high priest was a god who had come down to earth. I'll do the same. Yin Yao put down the bowl. It could be seen that he was not a person who cared about good food. He looked at the little female in front of him. Hearing her slightly arrogant words, he said with amusement, Agwagwa, aren't you afraid of fire? I remember that every time there was a sacrifice, you would hide far away. You seem to be very afraid of fire. Are you sure you know how to cook meat soup? Tangua was also amused. Who was afraid of fire? I'm not afraid anymore. The high priest doesn't believe me. Yin Yao looked at her serious face and was speechless. Then I'll cook it for you. How about that? Without waiting for Yin Yao to speak, Tangua stood up. Let me borrow the utensils in the high priest's house. I'll cook meat soup for you to see. Yin Yao saw that she was in high spirits and didn't reject her. He also wanted to see if this little female who was extremely afraid of fire dared to cook meat soup with fire. Chapter 636. In front of Yinyao, Tanggua took out the fire seed and started a fire outside the stone house. She filled the utensils with water and put them on the fire. He then went to look for some spices. He took a piece of bone with meat and chopped it into small pieces. First, he boiled it with water. After it came to a boil, he poured away the water that was originally bubbling with blood. Then, he added fresh water and seasonings in order. After it came to a boil, he used a medium fire to slowly cook it. The series of actions was very smooth. Yinyao was very surprised. This little female was really not afraid of fire anymore. High Priest, I already said that I'm not afraid of fire. Tanggua turned around and smiled. Men were really troublesome. She had to prove it herself to be believed. Yinyao looked at the little female. Her nose was stained with dust, but she was still smiling at him. He couldn't help but smile back at her. Then Guogua has really grown up. She's not afraid of fire anymore. He looked at the utensils on the fire and walked over. He stood by the side with Tanggua. He watched the clear water in the utensils turn milky white and the fragrance of the soup wafted into his nose. He didn't care much at first, but when he smelled this fragrance, his intuition told him that the soup cooked in the utensils was more delicious than the cold bowl in the house. With this thought, he was really looking forward to it. Tanggua observed the other party's expression. When Yinyao wasn't paying attention, she added some unidentifiable seasoning powder into the soup. At this time, she didn't use the coarse salt that was given to her by the tribe. Instead, she added the refined salt from her system space. System host, you're cheating. Is this considered cheating? Life in this world is so difficult. There's no need to wrong yourself. Anyway, just cook it for me and Yinyao. Others won't find out anything. Aren't you afraid that Yinyao will suspect you? What will he do if he suspects? Alright, the system wouldn't do anything. Yinyao couldn't escape from its host's hands. So what if he suspects her? He would fall into her hands sooner or later. Maybe he would fall willingly. Tanggua saw that it was about time. She filled a bowl of bone soup for Yinyao. Yinyao looked at the milky white soup in the bowl and compared it with the meat soup on the side, which seemed a little watery. He took it decisively. Tanggua did not stand on ceremony. She scooped a bowl for herself and began to eat. Yinyao saw that she was enjoying it, so he also took a sip. The moment it entered his mouth, the taste was really better than he expected. His mouth was full of fragrance, and the essence of the meat and bones were boiled into the soup. He ate a piece of meat. It tasted rotten with a single bite. It was simply too delicious. He looked at Tanggua, who was chewing on the bone, and was stunned for a moment. Then, he heard Tanggua say, "The bone has been cooked until it's soft. High Priestess, take a bite. After you chew it, you'll find that the bone is quite delicious." Yinyao hesitated for a moment, but he still followed Tanggua's instructions and took a bite at the part that could be bitten. It was indeed chewable, and the taste was indeed very good. After that, Tanggua didn't need to say anything. After finishing one bowl, Yinyao continued to eat the second bowl. The two of them finished the bone soup. They ate happily here. The other members of the tribe also smelled the aroma here. From afar, they saw their high priestess and Guogua drinking the soup. The members of the tribe didn't dare to ask the high priestess for food. They could only turn back and cook the soup according to Ning Luo's method. However, the taste of the soup couldn't be compared to the one cooked by the high priestess. They thought to themselves, as expected of the high priestess. Her soup was better than theirs. They even faintly felt that the soup cooked by the high priestess was better than Ning Luo's. Chapter 637. The fragrance from the high priest's stone house attracted Ning Luo's attention. She couldn't help but look in that direction. She pulled Gain. Who lives in that stone house? That's the high priest. He's very powerful. Only the high priest can save the injured members of our tribe. If the children in the tribe are sick, they have to look for the high priest. Speaking of this, Gain became serious. Luo, don't provoke the high priest. If you make him angry, you will be chased out of the tribe by all the members. Ning Luo recalled how she had almost died in the mouth of a wild beast when she had just transmigrated to this strange place. She felt a lingering fear. Don't worry, I won't provoke the high priest. In her heart, she felt that the high priest should be an old man, the kind that looked like a scammer. She was a little worried. She hadn't checked her college entrance exam scores yet and had transmigrated to this desolate place. She was even picked up by Gain, the big lion, who said that she wanted to be his female. Well, after a day in the tribe, she already knew what it meant to be a female. It meant to be a wife. She glanced at Gain. Although he was rough, his handsome face and his explosive muscles were even more handsome than the young men at the gym. She recalled the moment when Gain had defeated the wild beast. He was so handsome too. If she really couldn't transmigrate back, it wouldn't be bad to be in a relationship with a beast man. Gain treated her quite well. He gave in to her every request. That night, Gain was obviously afraid of fire, but he still gave her a fire seed. Thinking of this, Ning Luo's heart warmed. Luo, you're amazing. With the way you cooked meat soup, our tribe can eat cooked food in the future. Although everyone was afraid of fire, the meat soup was really delicious. No beast man in the tribe could resist such a delicious temptation. Compared to the fishy smell of raw meat and the salty taste of dried meat, the meat soup was really the best. Especially in winter, drinking a bowl of it would definitely make one's body feel warm. Luo, I'm going out to look for food with the other members. Don't wander around. It's very dangerous outside the tribe. Ning Luo nodded obediently. Don't worry, I won't wander around. She would be stupid to go outside. She was not like these powerful beast men. If she encountered a wild beast, she would only be eaten. Gain spoke a few more words before he reluctantly left under the urging of the other members. Ning Luo looked at Gain and felt that this orc was quite cute. After the male members of the tribe went out, the female members started discussing Ning Luo everywhere. Ning Luo brought them the method of cooking meat soup. Although it was beneficial, not many female members liked her. Her arrival had attracted all the strong males. Some males who already had females could not help but sneak glances at Ning Luo. This made them feel threatened. Ning Luo could feel the hostility of these people. He sat outside the cave and thought about how to live in this place. At this moment, she saw Tanguo walking out of the remote stone house, and her eyes lit up. Tanguo had a slender figure, and her facial features were much prettier than the other females in the beast men tribe. Ning Luo hurriedly stood up. Seeing Tanguo walking towards a nearby cave, he hurriedly stopped her. Hey, I'm Ning Luo. What's your name? Chapter 638. Oh. Tanguo stood still and glanced at Ning Luo. She lifted her chin and asked arrogantly, "Why did you call me?" Ning Luo's friendly smile froze. She had just seen this little girl walk out of the stone house with a smile. She had only said one sentence. Did she have to be so arrogant? Can I get to know you? Ning Luo looked at the sturdy woman in the distance and then looked at Tangua, who had thin arms and legs. Although her skin wasn't white, her figure and face were very beautiful. Even she was a little jealous. She took advantage of the fact that she was fairer. Compared to talking to those fierce-looking women, it was obvious that this little girl was better. Tangua was still very arrogant. Why do you want to know me? She looked as if she was saying, what right do you have to know me? The members of the tribe who noticed the commotion shook their heads and laughed. In the entire tribe, Guoguo's temper was only slightly better than the high priest's. She was only afraid of the high priest. She was not afraid of anyone else. As for Guoguo's status, it was because her parents had sacrificed themselves to protect the tribe. They were more tolerant of her, even if her appearance did not match their aesthetic standards. Of course, only the females thought that Guoguo was not good-looking. In fact, the males in the tribe especially liked girls like Guoguo. However, Guoguo was not someone they could have by fighting or dueling. It should be said that the females in the tribe had the right to choose their own partners, especially those with a background like Guoguo's. If any male dared to force her, the high priest would be the first to punish him. The former chief of the tribe was Guoguo's father. In fact, even if her parents had not sacrificed themselves for the tribe, her status was still higher than the others in the tribe, except for the warriors who had contributed to the tribe. The cave she lived in was left to her by her parents. No one dared to occupy it. Ning Luo was stunned by Tangua's question. This little girl was really too arrogant. She was like the little princesses she had seen in modern times who grew up in the palm of their parents' hands. Let's get to know each other and be friends. Ning Luo said dryly. He also felt that this little girl wasn't easy to get along with, but he glanced at the other tribesmen. She still didn't want to talk to those ugly women, so she kept glaring at him. Not only did they have soft stomachs and thick necks, but their limbs were also very rough. Especially since the people in this world did not wear shoes, or rather, they did not have any shoes to wear. These women's feet didn't look good either. There was mud between their toes. Ning Luo quickly averted his gaze and looked at Tangua, who was standing not far away. Even though her skin wasn't fair, this little girl seemed to like cleanliness and her feet were small and delicate. Tangua noticed the disdain in Ning Luo's eyes towards the other members of the tribe. She found it funny. Did Ning Luo really think that this was a big city? This was a backward ancient tribe, and a beast-man tribe at that. How could they have the same habits as humans? Even if they wanted to change, it would take time. I don't want to be friends with you. After saying that, Tangua entered the cave without looking back. She didn't give Ning Luo any face at all. It was impossible for her and Ning Luo to become friends. Regarding this, she complained to the system, if we become friends, how can we proceed with the rest of the plot? System host Devil. Chapter 639. I don't want to be friends with you. Ning Luo didn't expect Tangua to say something like that. She didn't give her any face at all. She blushed and watched as Tangua turned and walked into the cave. She didn't even leave a shadow for her. She was a little confused. She pouted. The people of the orc tribe were really too unfriendly. She sat outside the cave and thought about her experience. She felt very wronged. She didn't know why she had transmigrated to this place and met these unfriendly people. Luckily, there was Gain who treated her well. That's Guoguo's temper. No one knew when Aie had sat beside Ning Luo. Her figure was slightly slimmer than the other female members. After all, Aie was still a female who had yet to reach adulthood. Under normal circumstances, females who had thick limbs and soft stomachs didn't look good because they had given birth to too many cubs. In addition, the females of the beast men tribe paid more attention to strength. Their living environment made it so that they didn't have time to care about their beauty and take good care of their bodies. Ning Luo looked up and saw someone who was quite pleasing to the eye. "I'm Ning Luo. What's your name?" "I'm Aie." Aie revealed a big smile. "I know you. I saw you being carried back by Gain yesterday. Gain is a warrior of our tribe. He's very powerful. I didn't expect him to choose you as his female." "Ning Luo, you're very lucky. Did you just say that the girl who went in was called Agwagwa?" "Yes, she's called Agwagwa. She's the most respected female in the tribe," Ie said enviously. "The previous leader of our tribe was her father. In order to protect the entire tribe, her father and mother died." Ning Luo nodded. "Agwagwa doesn't seem to have a good temper. I wanted to be friends with her, but she didn't seem willing." "I'll be friends with you. You'll get used to it. Agwagwa is like that. Her temper is only slightly better than the high priestess," Ie said enviously. She glanced at Ning Luo's clothes and couldn't help but touch them. "What are you wearing? It feels so comfortable." "This is called clothes. It's made of cloth. You probably can't make it here. It's a specialty from our tribe." Ning Luo thought that someone finally cared about her. "I can help you make something similar to what I'm wearing, but it feels different." "Really? Really? Then let's go now." Aie grabbed Ning Luo's wrist and excitedly pulled her to her place, where she had collected many beautiful animal skins. Of course, Ning Luo followed him happily. Having a friend in the tribe made him feel less sad. Tengwa had been watching all this. She laughed and said, "The two of them are still together." "Sigh, did the host not think of stopping it?" the system asked softly. Even though it knew the answer, it still asked out of habit. "Why should I stop them? I have no obligation to stop what will happen next." Tengwa sat cross-legged and propped up her chin. When Guogua was taken away, no one came out to stop them. If it weren't for the fact that all the members of the tribe believed that handing over a Guogua could ensure their safety, they wouldn't have stopped it. Otherwise, a Guogua wouldn't have ended up so miserable. Chapter 640. The people in the tribe didn't want to die, but did a Guogua want to die? They pushed a Guogua into the fire pit, so a Guogua had the right to hate them and take revenge on them. Tengwa smiled. She had to take revenge too. She wouldn't stop anything. She would let everything develop. The final outcome of the orc tribe would depend on how things developed and how they chose. She wanted to see what they would choose this time. What do you think they will choose this time? Those who heard a Guogua and abandoned a Guogua. A Guogua's parents sacrificed themselves to protect the tribe members. They probably didn't expect that their child would be handed over as Ning Luo by the tribe members they protected. Speaking of which, a Guogua wasn't the cause of that disaster at all. She was only there to replace Ning Luo. It was because of Ning Luo's existence that she suffered so much and died without a burial place in the end. If a Guogua's parents knew that their child would be treated like this when they were alive, would they still choose to save the tribe members? Maybe they would. Tengwa thought about it and smiled carelessly. She crossed her legs and swayed. Tongzi, what do you think is the biggest punishment for orcs? She didn't like to kill people directly. That wouldn't give her a sense of accomplishment. It was also the lowest level of revenge. She always liked to torture people's hearts, followed by their bodies. Those who had wronged her either died regretting their actions, or died with grievances. Only then did she think that her revenge had reached the perfect state. Dear host, you're making things difficult for me. I'm just a string of code. I don't know how to torture orcs. The system wanted to cry. Dear host, please change the question. This question is too difficult. Tanguin narrowed her eyes. Then changed the question. What is the most important thing for orcs? What do they care about the most? An excited smile flashed across her face. Yes, to take revenge, she had to deprive the other party of what they cared about the most. That was the most satisfying. The system felt the fluctuation in Tangua's heart and was so scared that its little heart was trembling. Dear host, please calm down. Aren't you a little too excited? Remember, in this world, Yin Yao is a good person. He shouldn't meet the requirements to destroy the world. Don't worry, I don't want to destroy the world. Compared to destroying the world, I prefer to create new rules. Tangua smiled. For example, the Sunset Empire, the Tang Dynasty, and so on. I have an idea. Beastmen care about food and safety the most. The system asked meekly. So, the host would make them homeless. This move was indeed a little ruthless. However, if they still followed the original path in the future, then he couldn't blame his host. Who asked Igwugwa to have such a tragic ending? His host had brought all of Igwugwa's feelings and thoughts. It could be said that in this world, as long as her body was Igwugwa, she would be Igwugwa. Even if she was clear-headed and knew who she was, all of her actions would revolve around Igwugwa. The only exception would be when it came to relationships. Her host was rather stubborn and had misophobia, so she would do things according to her own ideas. However, her choices would definitely be the best. Even if the original host was alive, she would also think that this ending was very good. Who said that they have to be homeless? Tangua lowered her head and smiled. Let them stay where they are while the whole world develops rapidly. Don't you think it's better? The system's data was a little messy. Okay, I understand. Dear host is still a person who does great things. Chapter 641. In the afternoon, Tangguo was sleeping in the cave. Suddenly, she heard a commotion outside. She opened her eyes and walked out of the cave. She saw a tall female orc staring at Ning Luo, who was standing alone on the side with a frown on her face. The female orc was surrounded by other orcs and looked at Ning Luo with hostility. This female orc had just reached adulthood and was not in heat yet. She had always liked the strong Gain in the tribe. A few days ago, she went to a nearby tribe. She did not expect to hear that Gain had a female orc when she came back today. Moreover, it was a skinny female of unknown origin who could be squashed to death with one finger. This female orc was the one that everyone had mentioned before. Her name was Olga. She liked Gain, but Gain did not like her. Instead, he had been avoiding her. Olga was recognized as the most beautiful orc. She looked very strong, but she didn't look bloated and burly. Instead, she gave off a sense of fitness. Because she was young, her skin was not saggy. Olga was very vain. She would make beautiful dresses out of animal bones and skins. Although many male orcs thought that Guoguo was beautiful and looked very protective, most of them were more willing to choose a female like Olga. Because she looked very strong and healthy, the baby she gave birth to would definitely be very healthy as well. In this ancient orc era, males mostly wanted to possess females and reproduce. It would be better if she was beautiful. More importantly, she had a strong body. No matter if it was an enemy attack or other dangers, it would be easier for her to survive. Olga liked Gain. It was not the kind of love that humans had. It was because Gain was strong. She liked a strong male and thought that only a strong male could be her mate. Although the number one warrior in the tribe was not Gaian, Olga knew that she would not be able to make the number one warrior fall in love with her. The strongest warrior had clearly said that he would wait for Guogua to reach adulthood. During the chaos in the tribe, Guogua's parents died protecting the tribe. Olga was saved by Guogua's parents, so she would not fight with Guogua for a mate. The strongest warrior in the tribe was He Lang, who said that he would wait for Guogua to reach adulthood. He was also the leader of the tribe. If Ning Luo hadn't appeared in this era, there wouldn't have been love. Even the former Guogua admired Yi Niao in the beginning. Yi Niao's position was high, and he was able to treat the members' injuries. This was his power. After Ning Luo appeared, she liked Yi Niao a little more. That was why she kept the turtle shell that Yi Niao didn't use and kept it with her. Ning Luo had brought a lot to this tribe. Of course, in the end, not many people had survived. When Ning Luo unified the Orc Kingdom, she and her spouses were the only ones who survived from the beginning to the end. You're so skinny, and Gaines is so strong. You're not worthy of Gaines. Olga said arrogantly. Her eyes were sizing up Ning Luo and staring at the necklace on his neck. She didn't move her eyes away from it. She had never seen such a beautiful necklace. She liked it at first sight, but she, Olga, was the most beautiful female in the tribe. She wouldn't want a necklace from a weak female. Which tribe are you from? Go back to your tribe if you know what's good for you. Ning Luo pursed his lips. He looked weak and helpless in front of a group of female orcs. He suddenly glanced at Tanggua, who was sitting at the side and watching the show. Chapter 642. Tanggua received Ning Luo's pitiful gaze, but she didn't care. Based on the past, Guogua and Olga had a good relationship. Because of their parents, Olga treated Guogua better than any other female. Guogua didn't reject Ning Luo's pleading gaze. It wasn't because she wanted to help Ning Luo, but because she could tell that Gaines liked Ning Luo very much. After all, Gaines was a warrior in the tribe. Everyone admired the warriors because they were the ones who were protecting the safety of the entire tribe. She was just worried that Olga would bully this female. If Gaines saw it, it would affect their relationship. Olga was a female who liked to be pretty and looked healthy and strong. However, she was stubborn. She didn't understand that Guogua's words were for her sake. She thought that Guogua and Ning Luo had become friends, so she was very disappointed. Because of this misunderstanding, Olga distanced herself from Guogua, but she never targeted Guogua. Speaking of which, Olga was probably the only one in the tribe who knew how to be grateful. Even if she stubbornly believed that a Guogua had betrayed their friendship, no matter how she targeted a Guogua, she never said a word to a Guogua. Until her death, she never said a word to a Guogua. Facing such a stubborn person who wouldn't listen to anything, Guogua naturally regretted it for the rest of her life. The two of them didn't feel relieved until they died. However, Olga died early, so Guogua didn't have a chance to explain. Guogua heard that Olga was killed by a wild beast. It was an accident. Tanggua, who had read the plot, knew that it wasn't an accident. Olga died because of Ning Luo. Once, Gaines and the other members went out to look for food. Ning Luo suggested that she go too because she wanted to find some edible spices. The members all agreed. Olga couldn't stand how Gaines obeyed Ning Luo, so she wanted to go too. Olga wasn't weak, so the others didn't think much and let her go. Something happened along the way. The members got separated, but Ning Luo, Gaines and Olga happened to walk together. Because of Ning Luo's curiosity, she woke up the sleeping wild beast and they were faced with a life and death battle. In order to protect the weak Ning Luo, Gaines fought with the wild beasts and was almost beaten half to death. Seeing that the beast was about to pounce on the weak Ning Luo, Gaines rushed over to protect Ning Luo in his arms without thinking. Without thinking, Ollie rushed over and stopped the beast. In the end, she died in the beast's mouth. During this time, Gaines saw Olga fighting with the wild beasts. He wanted to rush over to help but was stopped by Ning Luo. At that time, Ning Luo had said, "Gain, you're already heavily injured. Can you guarantee that you'll be able to kill the beast if you charge forward? But I can't watch Ollie fight the beast alone. She's no match for it. Gaines, if you die and leave me here, the beasts will still eat me. Olga can still hold on for a while. Why don't we go out first and get help?" At that time, Olga had already been attacked several times by the wild beasts, and it wouldn't be long before she was defeated. Gaines looked at Olga, then at the pale-faced Ning Luo. In the end, he chose to carry Ning Luo away. Chapter 643. What Gaines didn't know was that the moment he turned around, Olga's eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of dust. She had saved Ning Luo and Gaines at the critical moment of life and death, but they had abandoned her because they were afraid that they couldn't defeat the wild beasts. She rushed forward to help Gain, not because of love, but because of her sense of responsibility as a beast man. Every beast man from the same tribe, when they saw their comrade being attacked by a wild beast and about to die in the mouth of a wild beast, would rush forward to fight without caring about their own safety, regardless of whether they would live or die. This was what Olga had learned from the pioneers of the tribe. She liked strong males because strong males could protect the safety of the tribe and give weak females a safe place to stay. When she saw that Gaines was going to die, she thought that Gaines couldn't die. He still had to protect the tribe. As a member of the tribe, even if she was a female, she had to step forward when danger came. While Gaines and Ning Luo were escaping, they met another male beast man who had fought with Ning Luo before. He was from the snake tribe and his name was Vigo. Vigo had always wanted to take Ning Luo back. This time, when Gaines was injured, he easily took Ning Luo away. Gaines couldn't defeat him, so he ran back to the tribe and told the tribe leader, Black Wolf, who also liked Ning Luo. At that time, he was worried about Ning Luo's safety and completely forgot that Olga was fighting with the wild beasts. When they rescued Ning Luo back to the tribe, they heard that Olga was torn apart by the wild beasts. Gaines and Ning Luo felt guilty for a while and soon forgot about it. They didn't tell the people in the tribe what really happened. Therefore, other than Gaines and Ning Luo, everyone else thought that Olga got separated and was unlucky enough to meet a wild beast. That was why she was torn apart. When she came back to her senses, Tanguo glanced at Ning Luo. She was also looking at her. Her eyes were slightly red and she almost cried. Tanguo turned her head to the side. She was her enemy. She wouldn't help her. Ning Luo could tell that Tanguo didn't want to help. She felt wronged. She was surrounded by fierce women who looked at her with mockery. Just when Ning Luo was feeling helpless, another voice sounded. What happened in the tribe, Olga? Tanguo looked over too. She saw two strong men walking into the tribe. She wasn't surprised at all because this was mentioned in the plot. Even if she didn't participate, the plot would still continue. One of the two beast men was the tribe's leader, Black Wolf. He was the #1 warrior in the tribe. The other man was slightly shorter than Hei Lang, but he was still very muscular. Compared to Hei Lang's cold expression, he had a simple and honest smile. He was Ai Yi's older brother, Imo, and one of Ning Luo's future spouses. When Hei Lang and Imo saw Ning Luo, their gazes changed slightly. They were used to seeing boorish females in the tribe. When they suddenly saw a young girl like Ning Luo, she would attract the attention of the male orcs. Imo couldn't hide the curiosity on her face. while He Lang's expression was much calmer. After he asked about the situation, he gave Olga a warning before dispersing everyone. Ning Luo hurriedly thanked them. Imo said enthusiastically, "If you encounter any trouble, you can come to me." Even though Ning Luo was Gain's female, Imo couldn't care less. This female was too beautiful. Chapter 644. Olga's expression didn't look too good. Imo and He Lang seemed to be very protective of Ning Luo, and they were both warriors of the tribe. She couldn't go against Ning Luo anymore. But today's matter, she remembered it in her heart. Agwagwa. He Lang saw Tangua sitting not far away, and his cold face softened a little. He didn't have any special feelings for Tangua yet, but he still liked Agwagwa. When he saw her, of course he was happy. He came in front of Tangua and took out a beautiful animal bone necklace. "For you." Tangua looked at it and shook her head. "No. Keep it. Don't you like beautiful necklaces?" He Lang insisted on stuffing the necklace into Tangua's hands. "There are already a few tribes who are willing to join forces with our Lado tribe to deal with the beast tide that might happen next." "That's pretty good," Tangua replied. She secretly looked at He Lang. He looked normal. She didn't know why he would do so many things. Perhaps the female lead's halo was too strong. He Lang stared at Tangua for a while. He saw that she was greeting Olga with a smile, and a trace of helplessness flashed across his face. "Agwagwa, you'll be an adult in a year." Tangua glanced at him. "Yes." He Lang looked a little nervous. "Agwagwa, do you have a male you like?" "Host, he's confessing his love for you." "Yes." Tangua replied with a smile. He Lang became even more nervous after she answered. He only nodded with a smile on his face and didn't ask any more questions. He said, "I still have some things to do. Come find me if you need anything." Agwagwa, did He Lang want to mate with you in advance?" Olga, who was on the side, had already noticed this. As soon as He Lang left, she couldn't help but sit next to Tangua, and asked with a happy face. "That's really great. He Lang is the first warrior of the tribe. It's perfect for Agwagwa." She was a little distressed. Gaines already has a female, and a very weak one. Agwagwa, Gaines must be blind. Why would he find such a weak female? "Gaines should be mine," Olga said unwillingly. Olga said unwillingly, "Gain is the second strongest warrior in the tribe. How am I not as good as Ning Luo? All I can do is cook meat soup. I can even fight with wild beasts. Ning Luo is so weak. He will only drag Gain down. The once-a-year beast tide is coming soon. Gwagwa, that Ning Luo obviously needs everyone's protection." Olga was very dissatisfied with Luot. She's weak. She might not even be able to give birth to healthy babies. For the beastmen, reproduction was a very important matter. This was because every beast wave would cause many beastmen to die. If they didn't reproduce, then the beastmen would probably go extinct. Since Gaines doesn't like Olga, Olga should find a warrior stronger than Gaines. "Even if we don't have one in our tribe, the other tribes do," Tangua said. The system was overjoyed. It seemed that the host wanted to change Olga's fate of being eaten by beasts. It made sense. Agwagwa cared a lot about Olga as a friend. But who can compare to Gaines? "I like Gaines," Olga said. "I just don't feel comfortable. Why would Gaines like such a weak female?" Chapter 645. Tangua chuckled at his childish words. Sometimes, villains stood on different sides of the story. The winner was the good, while the loser was the villain. It was just like how history books were written by the victors. If one were to describe a book from a different standpoint and from a different perspective, the main character would be the one who would be righteous. From the protagonist's point of view, it was impossible to fully understand a villain, from inside out, good or bad. The author was willing to show the kindest and most righteous side of the protagonist, but at the same time show the villain's evil side. Olga was such a villain. She ostracized and ridiculed Ning Luo in the tribe, but she was a true warrior. Otherwise, she wouldn't have chosen to save Gain. The moment she saved Gain, she thought that Gain couldn't die. If Gain died, there wouldn't be any warriors left to protect their tribe. To Ning Luo, she was only a villain. Guoguo was the same. She only targeted Ning Luo, but she didn't plan to kill Ning Luo. It was just that under Ning Luo's protection, her behavior was disliked by the people in the tribe. Ning Luo brought many changes to the tribe, including food, clothing, housing and transportation. Although she was physically weak, she was strong in the eyes of the tribe members. Her status was comparable to that of the high priest. It was no surprise that they suggested that Guoguo should be handed over in place of Ning Luo. From their point of view, it was nothing. Sacrificing one person could save the entire tribe, and even save the most important Ning Luo. However, it was different for Guoguo. Anyone who had hurt her was her enemy. Tang Guo accepted everything from Guoguo because she wanted to take revenge. Tang Guo could understand Guoguo's feelings when she was dying. That kind of hatred and the most uncomfortable feeling was the most torturous thing for a person. When she was ignorant, she had been a supporting female character in too many worlds. Even though she knew that she would go to the next world after death, but every time she died, the discomfort in her heart and the pain in her body caused indelible damage to her heart. Especially those who had been sincere to her, they betrayed her, abandoned her and trampled on her for a ridiculous reason. She believed that no one could bear such a result again and again. If an ordinary person went through 2 or 3 worlds, they would probably go crazy and suffer from severe depression. The reason why she didn't do that was because she always believed that no matter how dark the place was, there would always be a ray of warm sunlight shining on her body, warming her up and dispelling the cold for her. She would not fall. She would not destroy herself. She would live on, no matter what else lay ahead. She was no longer confused. She had found what she wanted to do. In the future, she would do what she wanted to do. After experiencing so many worlds, she had learned countless skills to strengthen herself and collected treasures from various worlds. She could now live a good life, protect herself well, and patiently search for the ray of sunlight she wanted. The system could feel that its great host's heart was really peaceful right now, as if all the filth and darkness had been cleansed by something. Olga was still feeling indignant. Suddenly, she saw Tang Guo smiling in front of her. There seemed to be light in her eyes. It was a very warm kind. Olga's anger was appeased. She instinctively called out, "Ah Guoguo." Chapter 646. What's wrong? Olga looked at Tang Guo and felt strange. Her anger had disappeared and she didn't seem to be so stubborn about gains anymore. What was even more strange was that she had only looked at Guoguo for a while and Guoguo didn't say much. How did she manage to persuade her? She still didn't like Ning Luo, but she felt less emotional now. She was even more confused when she thought of Gaines. She actually agreed with Guoguo. Since Gaines didn't like her, why didn't she find a stronger male? Guoguo, are you serious? Gaines has a weak female. Should I really give up on him? Gaines was the second strongest warrior in the tribe. She had liked him since she was young. Tang Guo nodded. Of course. Think about it, Olga. If you bully Ning Luo every day, Gaines will be angry. Ning Luo is already his mate. It's only right for him to protect her. I know, Olga said unhappily. But Gaines is the second strongest warrior. Ning Luo isn't good enough for him. If he finds a stronger female than me, I'll accept my loss. Olga, are you feeling pity for Gaines? Olga nodded. He's a warrior who can protect the tribe. His mate must be strong so that their offspring can be stronger. When the offspring grow up, they will definitely be stronger warriors than Gaines. Only then will they be able to protect the safety of our tribe. That way, we won't lose so many tribe members during the beast tide. Olga was a little sad. Her parents had died during the beast tide. The beast tide was too scary. Every time they experienced it, half of the tribe members would die. Therefore, she believed that a strong warrior needed a strong mate. The more warriors they had, the fewer tribe members would die in the future. Madam Host, Olga is actually a good child. She's not bad to begin with. Olga was really lucky. She actually met Madam Host, who was also Guogua's good friend. Olga, you have to think about it this way. If you find a male who is stronger than Guyan, won't we have another warrior in our tribe? In the future, your children will definitely be very strong and will be able to protect the tribe. Olga's eyes widened. She really didn't think of this good idea. She thought about it carefully and found that this idea was really good. Tangua's eyes were shining. Guogua, you're really too smart. Your brain can catch up with the high priests. A look of excitement flashed across Olga's face. She suddenly grabbed Tangua and jumped around with her in her arms. Guogua, you're really the smartest female. This idea is great. Yes, I'll go to other tribes and bring back a strong male. Won't that strengthen our tribe? Most tribes have a lot of males and are very protective of females. They will reject females from going to other tribes, but they will not object to males going to other tribes. Olga revealed a row of neat teeth. Guogua, I've decided. I don't like Gain anymore. If he likes Ning Luo, then let him be. I'll go to the other tribes tomorrow and bring back any males I like. I can find a few more strong males. With my reputation as the prettiest beast man in the tribe, they shouldn't reject me. Tangua, Guogua, do you think I should find a few good ones? 3 or 5. Tangua, system. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.